Hey everybody, this is Brandon here, also known as Jag. This is the first video of the channel. Just want to welcome everybody to the channel for the first time. Going to discuss a few things today, particularly what happened in preseason game against the Steelers last night. Initial takeaways, I was not thoroughly impressed as many people I felt like were on the Twitter spaces, chats I've seen. I think a lot of people are hyping up the defense, rightfully so. They played pretty well. Offense was a little slow at times in terms of delivering big plays at key moments. Trevor missed some, intermediate throws here and there, specifically to Christian Kirk on an out route. Overall, generally, I feel positive, but I'm not jumping the gun just yet on the potential for this team. What I am thinking about, though, is more so what the 53-man roster is going to look like after last night's game. I think specifically just focusing on the offense, we got key players that have some, chance to get cut, probably some familiar faces, but also there's some potential to add some new players as well through the waiver claims. So if I'm going to jump into it really quick for quarterback, I think we're going to have, obviously, Trevor Lawrence as the starter with C.J. Beathard as the backup. Will we keep a third quarterback? Probably unlikely. Definitely will probably sign someone to the practice squad. Is that going to be E.J. Perry? Is that going to be somebody else? I'm not too sure at the moment, but we'll see. I think if there's going to be a third quarterback signed to the practice squad, it probably will be E.J. Perry, but I'm more inclined to think that they're probably going to try and get someone who has some familiarity with, Doug Peterson's offense. So maybe looking at someone from the Chiefs, possibly someone from the Colts, anybody from that Doug Peterson hierarchy in terms of the coaching tree there. For any quarterback that falls off, maybe they might scoop them up and sign them to the practice squad. Moving on to running back, I think they're probably going to keep four. The four that I'm thinking of will probably be James Robinson, kind of alternating with Travis Etienne with the 1-2 punch. Got Snoop Conner for the third kind of back in there to kind of fill in. I don't think he's going to get a large percentage of carries, maybe 10-15% when it's all said and done for total carries on the year. The fourth running back, I think, is most likely going to be a waiver claim. I think they're missing some kind of shifty back that's not necessarily like the home run hitter, but I think someone who's very quick and will operate well in small, tight spaces. I feel like Travis Etienne is playing a bit too cute when it comes to running the ball. I feel like if you give him space, he's a home run hitter. He has the speed to take it all the way. But I'm looking for someone that could kind of dink and, make something out of nothing. Could be Travis Etienne, but I think they'll probably try and go with a quick speed back as the fourth waiver claim. Moving on to wide receiver. There's a debate going on whether you keep 5, whether you keep 6. I'm kind of in the camp of you keep 6. The 6 I have, and the last spot is kind of up for debate. So obviously you got Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones as your top 3. Me personally, I have Jamal Agnew at number 4. I think he has way more utility than any of the other receivers after those top 3. I don't have too much faith in Laquan Treadwell, Chenault, but I feel pretty good about Tim Jones. I liked what I've seen from him so far. To me, he's your number 5 receiver who can kind of fill in to be your X or your Y. Occasionally maybe even your Z slot receiver if needed. I feel like he's pretty flexible to be your number 5. And your number 6, if you were to keep one, I think it's between Chenault and Treadwell. It's a tough one to call between the two. I can see the argument for keeping Laviska. I could see the argument for keeping Treadwell. Treadwell's a very good wide receiver that can block for you in the run game. I don't see him being a big play threat, but he is a big physical receiver. Chenault kind of in the same bucket, but I don't see him as kind of sharp as a route runner as Treadwell. I haven't seen him make any real jump ball contested catches. Outside of that one throw in the Cincinnati game last year, I don't see him as being a deep down the field threat. So personally, I'm leaning towards Treadwell getting that 6th spot just because of that. But maybe they prove me wrong. Maybe they keep Chenault. I don't know. I just think it's really tight between those two, and it'll probably be determined in the last week of the preseason who keeps that 6th spot. Moving on to tight end. This is, to me, probably the most straightforward thing next to quarterback as well. You're probably going to keep 4. You're looking at Luke Farrell. You're looking at Chris Manhertz, 2 blocking tight ends, interchangeable, both equally kind of effective in part sometimes in the passing game as well. But obviously you got your 2 pass catchers with Dan Arnold and Evan Ingram. Huge fan of Dan Arnold personally. I just kind of like the way he plays the position. He kind of moves around in different formations, and to me that's probably one of the most valuable things about functioning as a receiving tight end is being that moving piece, not necessarily being strictly lined up out wide. You can move him almost anywhere, and it seems like he can make something happen. So I think people are sleeping on him. I have high hopes for him this year. Obviously, you have Evan Ingram as well. More of that outside kind of tight end type of receiver, but I didn't see him utilized that much as I would hope this preseason so far. I know he has that 1 touchdown in the Browns game, but he was schemed open in that. Outside of that, I haven't really seen that much that gives me a lot of confidence in him. It could be a one and done type of season for him, and they draft a tight end for next year. But yeah, I mean, he has to make it. They gave him that 1 year deal, but I'm kind of tempering my expectations for him. But I can understand some of the hype having that kind of athletic tight end, working from the outside. Could be good in the red zone, so I see some benefits there. And the last position group, we got the offensive line. So this one I think has a lot of debate from a lot of fans. I think your 3 spots are kind of locked down with your left tackle as Cam Robinson, center Luke Fortner, right guard Brandon Scherf. And then you have kind of a little bit of a battle at left guard, which I think at this point Ben Bartch seems to have won that job, with Tyler Shatley possibly filling in as your swing center / guard. Maybe he gets that starting position at left guard. I just don't see it. I feel like he's got short arms. He doesn't have good height. I think his main thing is strength, and if you're going to be a strong guard, typically you play at the right guard position if that's kind of, your strength. But that spot's already filled by Brandon Scherf, who's known to be a very strong right guard. Your left guard generally is somebody who can operate well with kind of quick 3-tech defensive tackles. I don't see Shatley operating well in that space. He's gotten beat a couple times, so I just don't see him being the starter there. I think Ben Bartch is probably the best bet to operate at that position. So then that leaves the last position at right tackle. Everybody's going back and forth, Jawan Taylor, Walker Little. I myself have been a kind of a proponent for Walker Little. I think at the end of the day, you got to have the feet to play the position. That's what makes this position what it is you got to have the feet to get outside and do your pass sets right. And you saw a lot of good things in camp, some, good things during practice. But in the game, it's just not translating, it seems, as strongly for Walker Little. Last night was not a good night for him by any stretch. He got beat on that sack with TJ Watt. Beat him to the outside, initiated the contact on him first. Just doesn't play with enough push him to the outside, he's just going to float out, and then it's a dead play. But, these people are going to come with counters. They're going to, beat you to the edge. They'll dip and rip, which is kind of a huge problem for him. He is a tall right tackle, 6'7". So that dip and rip move could work pretty well against him, and it probably will continue to. But I just don't. I'm rooting for the guy, but I guess Jawan Taylor's going to be the right tackle, just from how you just look at the game. But man, Jawan Taylor makes a lot of mental mistakes. It's very obvious, and it's just the power's there, the strength's there. He's got long arms, good height, good weight. Can pass set okay, and probably not as good as maybe what you got going on the left side with Cam Robinson, but he's all right. It's just the mental aspect and kind of just being consistent. It's just too all over the place. Can you trust him as the right tackle? I don't know. I think you got a big dilemma on your hands with those two. You would probably hoping one would kind of outshine the other at this point, but that just hasn't happened yet. But we'll see. And that just kind of leads me to my next point, is what are we going to do with that extra spot? Because usually we're going to keep about 8 linemen. So who's that going to be? Would that be a waiver claim? Could it be a trade? I personally would want the Jaguars probably to trade for some kind of tackle that could operate as a tackle or a guard. I just don't think Will Richardson's that guy, and I just don't see any other players the Jaguars have on their roster at the moment that can function in that space and function well. So if I'm the Jaguars, I'm looking to possibly ship, I've said this on Twitter, ship Laviska Shenault and try and trade him. But I wouldn't do a trade for a pick. I would do a trade for a player. And I would see if I can get a tackle/guard to kind of throw into that mix, just, see what we got there. Because right now I personally don't feel good about the right tackle position. If we can try and bring someone else in and use kind of Laviska Shenault as kind of a bait to bring someone else in and get them to the table to trade, I'm all for that. For me, I don't think we're too bad in terms of depth with wide receiver, but offensive line depth is a bit worrisome for me. So I'm hoping they can maybe muster something up and come in with a trade, try and pull someone in. But at worst case, check the waivers, because I really think between your 4th running back and your 8th offensive lineman, we should be bringing someone from the outside in. I don't see anybody on the roster that's kind of worth keeping in those spots. So, that's just the offensive side. I'm going to save the defensive side for another video. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment. Reach out to me on Twitter at Brandon_Moore. Enter Jags, the title for the handle. And hopefully we can build out community and talk a little bit more about Jaguars football. Thanks.